Hi, good morning. I'm happy to provide you with an overview of the Responsible Alcohol Management Program this morning. I trust that many of you are aware of the RAMP program and have even participated in the past. If I could ask a question, if I may see a show of hands, how many of you have been RAMP certified in the past? Okay, how about currently RAMP certified? Wonderful. Then this will truly be an overview. As you know, RAMP is a training and certification program in the Liquor Control Board's Bureau of Alcohol Education. RAMP was created actually back in the early 90s, in 93, as a server-seller program. And it was designed by the PLCB as a way to help licensees and their employees serve alcohol responsibly. RAMP offers practical advice to many different license types: restaurants, hotels, clubs, distributors, and in some cases, even special occasion permit holders. Okay, RAMP was created as a voluntary certification program. Back in 2001, there had been some legislative changes which evolved RAMP from just a simply server training to a certification program for licensees. And RAMP certification applies to the licensed establishment, as most of you know. It consists of 5 steps: the owner-manager training, server-seller training, new employee orientation, signage, and then of course the 5th step is you applying for RAMP certification. And today you do that by way of filing an affidavit request. It's very important that you complete all 5 steps in order to have your establishment become RAMP certified. Once you do that, as long as you maintain compliance with each of those 5 components, then your RAMP certification would be good for 2 years. I mentioned that it was a voluntary program for most licensees. However, there are some ways that a licensee may be mandated to complete the program. And the way that that happens is, if a licensee is found guilty of a violation of either service to minors or service to visibly intoxicated patrons, you may be mandated by the administrative law judge to complete all 5 parts of the program. Not just the training, but all 5 steps, and become RAMP certified. You may also be mandated through a conditional licensing agreement with the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. I just would like to mention that if you should find yourself in one of these situations in the near future, hopefully not. However, it is important that you do take immediate action. In both situations, you would be given a deadline as to when you need to become RAMP certified. And most of you have been through the process you mentioned, so you do know that it's easy to comply with. You can do many of the components online now. So there's really no reason that you should not be able to comply with either the judge's order or the requirements of the conditional licensing agreement. Once RAMP becomes aware that you're in one of these situations, we also reach out to you, send letters, and we'll help you along with the process, provide you with training dates, location, and anything that you would need in order to complete the process in a timely manner. Just real brief, for those of you who have not been through the program, I mentioned the 5 different components. The first 2 have to do with training, of course, training for owners and managers, and that's conducted by PLCB staff. It is a free training. We offer it weekly, continuously throughout the state. We have different training locations. You may also complete this training component online as well. In the near future, this training, you would find it by way of PLCB Plus. We are also going to be part of that. You would submit your affidavit through there as well. But as Bobby mentioned earlier, we're a little bit later on in the implementation, and it probably won't be until maybe the fall this year. But obviously, we would reach out and make you aware of that. The second training component is for your alcohol service staff. And we refer to it as server-seller training, and it's training for anyone who not only serves or sells alcohol, but also for those who primarily would check identification. So if you do have bouncers, ID people who may never serve alcohol, but yet they are primarily there to assist you with spotting potential underage, keeping minors out, etc. They would also be considered part of that staff, and you should include them when you're trying to figure out who needs to have this training. In order to comply with the component, at any given time, you would need to have at least 50% of your alcohol service staff trained. Now, this training is provided by independent contractors, people who have been approved by us, by the PLCB. We provide you with a list of trainers. They're available on our website, and you may also complete this component online as well. You do pay a fee for this training, and the actual trainers, the providers, are the ones who set the fee. We do not regulate the fee for this training. The third component is new employee orientation, which consists of the owner or manager completing a form with a new hire, making sure that once you hire them, you not only go over some of the very important rules and regulations regarding service to minors, service to visibly intoxicated patrons, but also it's an opportunity for you to discuss with them your house rules, how you handle certain situations, what types of ID that you are willing to accept, any problems that you have, any rules, procedures that you have regarding what do we do when we cut someone off? What do we do when I think I have a potential minor in here or a fake ID? It's important that your staff knows how to handle those situations and how you want them to. So that's the opportunity that you have when they're first a new hire, when you go over this form. It really shouldn't be just filling out a form with them. The fourth step consists of signage, you posting some posters, some signs in your establishment regarding responsible service, regarding not serving a visibly intoxicated patron or a minor. These are the types of ID we will accept. I know many of you have stopped by our booth in the hallway this morning. We will be there following the seminar as well. We have many posters, really all the forms that you would need for anything regarding RAMP, and all of that is available online as well, which I'll show you here in a few seconds. The last step is really the most important, and obviously you've all done it because you've raised your hands, but so often we do find licensees who complete a training component, and then they don't follow up. They don't become RAMP certified. And so often some of them say, well, we didn't know we had to do that, or we didn't remember that. So it's very important that you do, follow through with all of the steps, but completing the affidavit. It's very easy. You can do it one of two ways. You can utilize our online affidavit system, put your LID number in, your license number. And what's really nice about that is anyone who has been trained, as long as when they were trained, they registered with your LID number, they would automatically populate. So you don't have to worry about putting them in, and they would show up on your roster of employees. And then, of course, you would need to add anyone else who works for you, but they haven't completed training yet. So you can do that online, or you may fill out the paper form and mail that to your regional RAMP office. And then assuming, we find out that you're in compliance with all of the components, we would issue you a certificate. One thing I'd like to mention, there are still some licensees who maybe haven't found themselves in this situation yet, but this is a manager training requirement. And what it is, it's as a result of Act 113 of 2011. And basically what that requires is newly approved managers of certain license types. I don't want to say all because there are some exceptions, but mostly all retail licensees. Certain license types must complete the owner-manager training component within 180 days of being approved by the PLCB, unless that person has previously completed the training within the 2 years prior to becoming your manager. Now, one thing I'd like to mention with this in regards to clubs, it's not necessarily within 180 days of when you make a manager. It's within 180 days of the liquor board approving your manager or your change of officers. So that's a little bit different for all you club people. You know where I'm going with this. You only report your change of officers, your manager, once a year. So at that point, that's when the clock starts ticking. Obviously, it's better for you to get a jump start on that and have them complete the training, right when you make them manager. But that's a fairly new requirement, again, still for some people who haven't found themselves in that situation yet. They haven't changed a manager. Again, once we are aware of this, that there has been a manager change and the board has approved it, we also do reach out to you, send a letter, make sure you're aware of what that due date is. And again, whether you complete the training through a classroom training or online. What are some of the incentives to becoming RAMP certified? Obviously, anytime you get your staff together, you do a training program, having everyone on the same page is very beneficial. It's a chance for them to ask questions of the trainer and also ask questions of you, their owner or manager, of how you would like them to handle situations. So having a knowledgeable, well-trained staff, also being recognized as a responsible licensee in your community, whether that's just by you posting your certificate that you would receive or any other advertisement that you would do yourself. Also, for those of you who are familiar with the Observer magazine, we have a ad in that magazine each month where we list the names of the licensed establishments by county who have become RAMP certified in the previous month. So your name would go in that publication as well. Possible reductions in fines and penalties, and I know that I feel it sounds weird to talk about that as an incentive in the same sentence, but what that means and the way that works is if you are RAMP certified and then you find yourself in one of those situations where you have a situation where you've served alcohol to a minor or a visibly intoxicated patron. As long as you were RAMP certified at the time of the violation and have not had any citations for that offense in the previous 4 years, your fine structure is actually lowered. It can be from a $50 to $1,000 fine rather than starting at that $1,000. And then, of course, possible discount on liquor liability insurance. That's something that you should definitely look into, if not before, definitely after you've completed training and or are RAMP certified, and make sure that your insurance provider knows that you've done this, show them the certificate. In many cases, they will offer a discount for you becoming RAMP certified or having training. I know that might be a little hard for you to see, but as I mentioned, we have a lot of our resources, our literature here with us today out on our table. You can get any of the signage that you would need, new employee forms, incident forms, paper affidavits, but also you can get all of that online. From the PLCB website, from the home page, if you just click on education, you have 3 different choices, and one of them is RAMP. And then you can complete training, get a list of approved trainers that you might want to call to schedule training, as well as possibly even apply to become a trainer yourself. Also, under education, under resources, you can order materials. We have a materials order link there. So all of this can be found on our website. And if at any time you have any questions, you may feel free to call the RAMP office, the main number there in Central, or reach out to your individual regional office in the East or the West, and then again, our website is there for you. Thank you.